Oh, glory unto the Most High. Let's bless him. As the prophets of old revealed the things that came and are yet to come upon the earth, so the vessels of Yahweh, likewise the prophets of this time and dispensation, declare, pronounce, and decree the things that were known from the beginning. Beloved, we enter into the sacred words declared to the elect remnant, for this time is at hand. The glory of heaven is adored, worshipped, magnified, and glorified, for he delivered us from sin and the sting which is death. We are grateful to the Most High that he has allowed us in the presence of his holy Melek, Prophecied, to lead and guide us unto the light. And we are privileged to have the holy Malka, the covering of the prophet, who keeps the word of the Most High lifted. And unto the prophet Crown Prince Jahiel and Evangelist Crown Princess Eldara, we are blessed. To the royal house, we bless the Father for you, and all who are of the sovereign realm of the fourth house. As we continue and enter into the word, let us behold what was revealed on November 7th of 2010. The Holy Nabi declared, the Most High showed him the things of his vision in the month of July, August, as he brought his prophet over the waters. The prophet beheld something peculiar and uttered that he saw ships that brought cargo toppled. As the holy Melek continued to watch, he saw trees amid the ocean as stumps. And as the prophet beheld this thing, the highest power said, thou knowest this thing, my son? And the holy prophet said, yea, I understand. The glory of heaven proclaimed, tell the people when I appoint thee, when this thing is revealed, for surely it shall come to pass. The people must not be shy in their preparation, for these things must happen in the earth, even great trouble, things that even shall trouble them. For the Most High said, tell the people not to be affected by it. Though it comes to trouble, Yahweh said, neither allow yourself to be affected by it. Beloved, we are made known to expect troubling times. It is not revealed unto us simply as mere knowledge, but a warning unto preparation. You must ask yourself, when this present pandemic began, did you find yourself ready? The simple necessities such as food and water, were you prepared, or did you have to scramble to purchase goods just to meet the daily needs of your family and loved ones? We were told by the holy Melek to store water in glass containers, to store food and provision years ago. Knowing that this is just the beginning, a wind before great woes to come, has the alarm caused you to make haste and to do all to prepare? As we continue in the word of prophetic order that was revealed on November 7th, as the Holy Nabi continued to behold the visions of the Most High, he proclaimed, when I looked upon this thing, I counted, and what stood out to me in my spirit were the trees that stood up out of the water as stumps, obviously revealing that it was mighty trees, but are no longer trees, but made as stumps. I counted 7 stumps. The Most High said to his Melek, these are 7 nations in their power and in their sovereignty that reign today. I shall make them as a stump in the midst of waters, yea, the sea in this world. They shall no longer possess power. The Father showed his Nabi ships of cargo that were toppled, representing industry and commerce. The Almighty revealed, there is coming a disruption in the earth that shall economically trouble nations, not nations in pockets or people in pockets of nations, but even the wealthiest shall be troubled by what shall come. The highest power said, this thing must come. It must be before things get better. For my word has gone forth that the economy shall change, not because man so determines this, but I, the Father of lights, determine this. And as Yahweh continued in his conveyance, I shall make it so. I shall make it change, that my people shall prosper. For the closing of time is near. Beloved, we were instructed not to be affected by the change in the economy and the troubles to come. The Most High said that he is making it change, that his people shall prosper. How do you prosper during a time of change when most things are toppled? Do you see now why we must hold to the teachings and instructions of the Holy Melek to navigate through the troubled and tumultuous times? As we gird up our loins and further prepare for the race before us, we must strengthen ourselves with the endurance needed to make this journey to the end. As we continue in the word of prophecy delivered by the Holy Melek, the glory of heaven continued to reveal unto his prophet, before this thing takes place, there shall come a disturbance. And Yahweh said, let not the people tell them that they not be affected by it. The highest power showed his prophet these things, and the prophet observed further as the Father brought him into the government, the nations of the world, even the things the word of the Most High spoke of. The holy prophet of time recalled of the remembrance of the people when he prophesied concerning banks. As he beheld people lining up in front of banks, outraged and bothered because they wanted their money, their investments, and they could not get it. The Most High showed his Melek the reason for this was due to the interference of the government, and he claimed that they would make this to rattle the people, yea, even the nations. There must be a disruption in the earth, in this nation and other nations, but particularly the United States, the Holy Prophet said. There must be a disruption, a disturbance that will affect so many that the government that rules may maneuver themselves. And the Holy Melek heard the word martial law. The government is preparing to take over. The prophet beheld curfews in place where people can only go when they are permitted to go, and only come when they are permitted to come. This is what the Most High revealed unto his son. As the Holy Melek declared, watch, there is not one thing I prophesied to you by Yahweh that has not come to pass, and it will come to pass, for they are not my words, but the words of the glory of heaven. The prophet continued to journey in the visions of the Most High. As he traveled, he observed and inquired of the highest power, how shall these things be, my father? And as the prophet continued to watch, he saw a cloud over the waters that moved as darkness. The Most High allowed his son to observe, and as he watched, he did not see the lights of industry, and beheld mass darkness come over the nations, where electricity and power was out for days and weeks. It was not in one city or in a pocket of an area, but throughout the United States and around the world. Then There was disruption in the streets, people out of control that caused the military to get involved, ushering in martial law as the highest power revealed. The Father showed the Holy Nabi, this thing will not happen suddenly, but it is already designed by the government to make it happen. This is something they are going to allow to happen, that they can maneuver themselves. The prophet proclaimed, watch what I am telling you. These things the glory of heaven has spoken, even the things of Daniel, the things that have been prophesied by his prophets. There must come a one world order, and people will be made to buy in the same currency, to worship one God as they know it, not the highest power. Anyone that does not worship will be persecuted. These things must come to pass, the holy Malachi uttered. The Father tarried the day only for his people to awaken and move quickly, thus saith the holy Nabi. The Most High has given us time to make preparation. We must not only be awakened, we must make haste to press in the instructions we receive. While the word of the highest power in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 11, attests that time and chance happeneth to them all, we, as the people of the Most High, under the love and guidance of his realm Son, are given direct instruction as to what we must do to prosper. I share with you now a prophecy declared by the voice of the highest power, his prophet Eshadar, on September 6th of 2007. This prophecy will echo within many of you who recall of the revealing proclaimed. With regards to the preparation for the last days, we were instructed to make investments in sugar, gold, precious stones, and silver. And as the prophecy was revealed that day, now thus saith the Most High, as the voice asked thee, what have ye done to prepare, since ye have been born over 10 years ago? What have you done? I told you by what the highest power has spoken that this nation will be destroyed. When the cry is made, where will the people of the Father be? If you are here when these things come into play, it is too late. Therefore, provisions that the Most High gave instruction must be made. I go back at least 8 years, the Holy Prophet uttered, unto 1999, not the full 11 years, when instruction was given, uttered the Holy Malachi. I told you to invest in certain things. I gave instruction to you. I said over 11 years ago that the Most High showed me regarding sugar. There is going to be a scarcity in the earth. You need to seek ways to invest in sugar, the Holy Prophet declared. While stocks were only pennies then, what do you think has happened? It has come to pass. There is a scarceness of sugar. I told you to invest in gold, the Holy Nabi said. Invest in precious stone. Invest in silver. I told you to do that. The lack of money becomes a hindrance to you because you say you do not have money. The Holy Malachi strongly advised us, beloved, to change our mindset and to come together if necessary in order to invest collectively. I remind us of this as a provoking. At the time when we were instructed to invest in gold is when it was approximately about $350 $26 per ounce. And when we were reminded of this instruction by the prophecy just read in 2007, the price of gold was $841 an ounce. And now, here present, in the year of 2020, the price of gold has surpassed $2,000 per ounce. This must be troubling unto us, and it must provoke us to follow the instruction of the Holy Malachi. The word of the Most High never fails. He loves his people so. And in spite of being slothful in this area of instruction, we were told by the Holy Prophet that another window of opportunity would come. Bless the Most High. We must prove faithful and obedient to the word and direction given unto us by the Holy Melek of the highest power. We are made known by the word of the Most High that there will be a one world currency. The Holy Prophet has declared that this will not come about suddenly, but will gradually come into effect so that the people will welcome this transition. Presently, the global economy is tied closely to a cash currency where the monetary notes of each country is the instrument in which they conduct themselves in commerce. The present dominating world currency is pegged to the US dollar. But there are several countries desiring to change their strategies and do business utilizing other monetary denominations. From the time of the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, the US dollar was backed by gold. But in 1971, President Nixon severed the link between the dollar and gold. And presently, the dollar is recognized as a Federal Reserve note with the understanding that it is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. A dollar bill used to say, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank." But look at the dollar bill today. It simply says, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private." That's all that it says. You cannot redeem it for lawful money. The notes have no value for themselves, but for what they will buy. In another sense, because they are legal tender, the Federal Reserve notes are backed by all the goods and services in the economy. What the government, via the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, really did in 1971 was coerce people to accept Federal Reserve notes that used to be redeemable for gold and or silver, but now are not redeemable at all. Let us look at the definitions in which they define it. What the Treasury would have you believe is that the gross domestic product, what they call GDP, that is what is defined as the monetary value of all the finished goods and services within a country's borders in a specific time period, and it includes all private and public consumption, government outlays, investments, and exports, less the imports that occur within a defined territory. So though it sounds complicated, what they are saying is they are taking all of the costs of all the goods that are made, everything that is consumed, both privately and publicly, all government spending, all investments and the exports. They take that value and they subtract from that the cost of all the imports, everything this country imports into the nation. And that determines the value of the gross domestic product. This is the value placed upon the dollar. So, in essence, as government spending is continually escalating, it is adding more debt to debt. And in the long run, it's proving to be unhealthy. Can the U.S. government really afford to keep policing the world and fight wars and keep spending without consequences? If this theory of GDP, or gross domestic product, backing the dollar is viable, and government spending is all that is backing the dollar at this point in time, where do they get the money to do it? The answer is in taxes and printing it out of thin air. Politicians are clueless and only do one thing. They create bills for more spending. Since politicians do not get elected by raising taxes, that leaves only one viable answer: to pay for the bills Congress creates. They keep printing or creating credit. In other words, they continue to add more debt. The George W. Bush administration, spending was out of control, and President Obama's administration piled on even more debt at an alarming rate to prevent the system from collapsing. Beloved, this is another reason why we must educate ourselves on what money is and the need to invest in gold, as the Holy Malachi declared, and the other areas that the Holy Malachi is directing us. We know that a one world currency will come into effect. We must be diligent to watch the unfolding of the word of prophecy and to show ourselves approved by protecting the word given unto us through preparation and actively moving in faith through the works that we manifest. Let us look at another area of currency that is emerging as we walk by faith and not by sight. What is cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by cryptography, which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. Many cryptocurrencies are decentralized networks based on blockchain technology, a distributed ledger enforced by a disparate network of computers. That is what blockchain technology is. A defining feature of cryptocurrencies is that they are generally not issued by any central authority, rendering them theoretically immune to the government's interference or manipulation. So in understanding cryptocurrencies, they are systems that allow for the secure payments online, which are denominated in terms of being virtual tokens, which are represented by ledger entries of an internal system. It is entered digitally. Crypto refers to the various encryption algorithms and cryptographic techniques that safeguard these entries. Bless the Most High. So whereas there are different types of cryptocurrencies, the first blockchain-based cryptocurrency was something known as Bitcoin. And I know you've heard the phrase if you're watching the news regularly. And it still remains the most popular and most valuable. Today, there are thousands of alternative cryptocurrencies with various functions and specifications. Some of these are clones or byproducts of Bitcoin, while others are new currencies that were built from scratch. Bitcoin was launched in 2009 by an individual or group known by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. As of November of 2019, there were over 18 million Bitcoins in circulation, with a total market value of around $146 billion. If you purchased a Bitcoin when it was launched back in 2009, it cost only 8 cents. In June of 2011, that Bitcoin, the one Bitcoin, was worth $31. From 8 cents to $31. And now, even 10 years later, one Bitcoin is worth $11,118. In other words, if you made a $100 investment when it started at the beginning, at 8 cents, you would have been yielded 1,250 Bitcoins. If you made that investment when it started of just $100. And those $100 worth of Bitcoins today is now worth $13,897,500. Beloved, we must educate ourselves and be made aware of the changes and directions in the earth as we continue this journey to the end. While the specific details as to how the money system will change may not be presented to us in fine detail, we know that the money system will change and that we are in our preparation because the Most High said so. And we must be prepared in the various areas and watchful as we behold the changing of this money system. Oh, bless the Most High. As we look even presently, beloved, we know through the coronavirus, it has affected us in many areas. Economically, we've seen a lot of what's taking place. As we're looking forward to the changes that are coming about unto the bringing of this one world order, we can see how nations are aligning and creating alliances, how the prospects of war is continually escalating as tensions between countries, take the US and China, for instance, they are spiraling toward not only war, but even in economics, there's a division that perhaps can never be mended. For the trade war is continuing to escalate. And now as we begin to watch, let us watch in the various areas, beloved, as we've been admonished, even unto knowing that there will be a one world currency. Forbes.com reported on August 6th of this year, 2020, Putin outlines new Russian crypto rules and banks prepare for new exchanges. Russia has revamped the rules of the cryptocurrency game within its borders. In short, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ether, and others can be traded, but no goods and services in Russia are allowed to be priced in it. If you want to buy a house with Bitcoin, you have to sell it for rubles first. It's not the warmest crypto regulations that we've seen to date, but it's also not the coldest as the reporter writing this article has stated. In any case, it's great that we're finally getting more clarity regarding crypto laws around the world. The laws and regulations are changing. And now Russia has put itself in line. Russian banks and exchanges will be allowed to open cryptocurrency exchanges provided they register with the central bank. The new law establishes the basis of digital assets and is a positive event for a blockchain community in Russia, said the writer. The timing of this event could not be due to the rapid development of decentralization of finance and other blockchain-based industries. The absence of digital assets rulemaking has put a significant amount of companies involved in mining, trading, and token economy into the gray area. So they are lining themselves up for what is known as digital currency. So China, this week, August 14th, just yesterday, published, Beijing pushes digital currency amidst fears of a dollar planet. China is on track to become the first country to launch a state-backed digital currency. Pilot testing is now being expanded beyond the 4 initial cities, and the Commerce Ministry wants to be ready for launch by the end of 2020. My goodness. In relation to this, the Wall Street Journal had reported the digital currency pilot program will cover much of China's most prosperous regions, the Commerce Ministry said Friday. The capital, Beijing, nearby provinces in the north, the Yangtze River Delta in the south, and along China's wealthy southern coast, even unto the neighboring cities of Hong Kong and Macau. Cities in the country's poorest central and western regions that meet certain requirements will also roll out trials of the digital currency, the ministry said, adding that testing efforts were being led by the People's Bank of China, the country's central bank. While there is again no timeline on how fast this next phase of testing will happen, the Wall Street Journal points out that the Commerce Ministry said in a broader statement outlining the service initiatives, including the digital currency, that the policy design should be completed by the end of 2020. Why is Beijing fast-tracking the rollout of a digital currency? Geopolitics may be part of the reason. As they've said, a sharp escalation in tensions with the United States has stoked fears in China of a deepening financial war that could result in it being shut out of the global dollar system, as it was reported in Reuters this week. Some economists even float the idea of settling exports of the China-made COVID-19 vaccines in yuan, their currency, and are looking to bypass dollar settlement with a digital version of the currency. What they are saying is, by having yuan set up as their digital currency, when China goes forth to sell their vaccine to the world, they are not going to be accepting US dollars. You must pay for it in Chinese yuan, reflected in a digital currency. Already for the first time, most recent Russia-China trade has avoided using US dollar, according to the Nike Asian Review. And as Bloomberg put it today, China may dismiss US sanctions, but its banks can't. This is continuing to escalate around the world, beloved, as we watch, as we behold. It's reported on July 24th of this year, 2020. The G7 to discuss central bank digital currency, as this Japanese news outlet proclaims. Japanese news outlet Kyodo reports that the G7 meetings later this year will include discussions about central bank digital currency to share knowledge. It claims the Japanese government made the suggestion and the United States responded positively. The Bank of Japan formally set up a digital currency working group just last week. The report claims the topic is in response to China's lead in central bank digital currency research, with its digital yuan already starting trials. And it's a potential challenge to the US dollar's dominance. If one looks at G7 members, most already involved in central bank digital currency research at some level, the UK, Canada, and Japan has spent several years researching, and each published multiple major reports on the topic. France recently has started tests itself with fellow member Germany. And additionally, Trump has asked that this discussion include former G8 participants such as Russia, Australia, South Korea, and India. But they made a point not to invite China to the discussion. Digital currency is also found right now to being tested and established in Italy. For as the Asia Times noted on June 22nd of this year, digital currency Italy follows China's lead. The Italian Banking Association, which comprises over 700 Italian banking institutions, expressed its desire to help accelerate the implementation of a digital currency backed by the European Central Bank by participating in related projects and experiments. The group has shared that they want to create a monetary stability and full compliance, but they want to work within the network of the European nations. And according to the group, a central bank digital currency would lead to future innovations to the traditional banking system. They said that a programmable digital currency represents an innovation in the financial field capable of profoundly revolutionizing money and exchange. And not only has it been followed where Italy is following the lead of China. They're not the first nation to express this interest, because earlier this year, France's central bank sent out a call for proposals of experiments, and the Dutch Central Bank of the Netherlands also said that they were willing to do a trial of digital euro. And speaking of the euro, which is a currency of most of the European countries, they too are speaking of upgrading money to the digital age. Just as the internet revolutionized the way we communicate, technology is radically changing the way money could work in the future. Policy makers will soon have to make decisions on how to make the best out of those technologies. By introducing a public digital euro, the European Central Bank could provide a safer and more efficient alternative to bank money, as they stated. And they are pressing the issue that even now the euro would elevate itself, begin testing itself, that it could be translated as a digital currency. Oh, beloved. Positive Money Europe advocates for the introduction of a public digital currency system in the Eurozone. And they are doing all that they can to create what they call digital cash. Now, why this is happening in many of the nations around the world, we would be made known or to believe, well, what is the U.S. doing? Why is it not greatly publicized? Well, I share with you yet again an article published this week on August 13th of this year, 2020, by Fox Business, with headline that the Fed is partnering with MIT to develop a hypothetical digital currency. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston is partnering with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology to develop, test, and research a hypothetical digital currency over a 2 to 3 year period. The Federal Reserve Board governor said that the Fed is investigating whether a central bank digital currency would be safe and efficient for widespread use. He stated, given the dollar's important role, it is essential that the Federal Reserve remain on the frontier of research and policy development regarding central bank digital currencies. As part of this research, central banks are exploring the potential of innovative technologies to offer a digital equivalent to cash. Like other central banks, we are continuing to assess the opportunities and challenges, as well as the use for cases like this to complement the cash and other payment options. The Boston Fed president said that they are trying to determine if they can meet the design requirements of a U.S.-based central bank digital currency. And they said that they need to do this quick, while Bitcoin is quickly closing on $12,000 per coin, which is an increase of more than 70% since April 1st. My goodness. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. That is how Bitcoin has been set up and is operating. And now it is likely the reason, as they say, why central banks are trying to get ahead of the curve on digital currencies. As this article concluded, cryptocurrencies are challenging the traditional pillars of the financial system. And against this backdrop, central banks are faced with the threat of individuals being able to store, spend, and move value without reliance on the fiat currency. This is a huge threat to the traditional role that central banks play in monetary policy. And so it is of little surprise that there is gathering momentum across developed banks around the world to analyze and understand the potential effects of introducing a central bank digital currency. Beloved, we shared with you the word of the Most High, which never fails. As the Holy Melek reveals the things of the Father, we certainly are blessed as his righteous seed continues to prepare and make ourselves ready for what indeed will come to pass. Everything is lining up according to the word as we behold the layers of the prophecies being fulfilled. We can only thank the highest power for considering us from the beginning, from the foundation, that our predestined order would be to love, honor, serve, and obey. We clearly see that the word of the Holy Prophet comes to pass. And as the book of the Holy Nabi continues to declare the mysteries and secrets of the Father, we are forever grateful for the Holy Prophet, that his love given unto us, oh my goodness, secures us. There is much we will come to learn, much we must watch for and observe as the word prepares us for the time to come. But we will walk in the instruction and direction that has been yielded unto us by his holy voice. And as the elect gathered, we will walk in obedience and do all that we must do to tarry and make the journey to the end. Beloved, Rakah, take hold of this word. Take hold of the preparation. Let us go forth and educate ourselves that we not perish because of lack of knowledge, both in the word and in the things that the word proclaims. And let us uphold the word of the Holy Melek in obedience as we follow the promises that have been made unto us, as we make the investment in the word that has been declared. Amen.